Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hello friends, this is Dr. Huda. Today we're gonna read a very interesting story from Journeys Volume 2.2. Let's start. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. بسم الله. The title of our story is The Dog That Dug for Dinosaurs by Shirley, Raye, Redmond, and selection illustrated by Stacey, Schuett. Essential question. How do you know if something is a fact or an opinion? Meet the author. Shirley Raye Redmond. At her home in New Mexico, Shirley Raye Redmond begins her day by waking up early and watching the many birds that come to the feeders in her yard. Then she's ready to sit down and start writing. Meet the illustrator, Stacey Schuett. Stacey Schuett wanted to be an artist or a writer ever since she was a kid. I was a dreamy kind of little kid who loved to make stuff up, she says. She has illustrated many books, including ones on pirates and trees. Target vocabulary: exact, discovered, remove, growled, amazed, explained, guard, and souvenirs. Target skill: fact and opinion. Tell if an idea can be proved or is a feeling. Target strategy: question. Ask questions about what you are reading. Genre: a biography. A biography tells about events in a person's life. So our story today is inspired from a true story. Okay? A long time ago, there was a little dog named Raye. He was black and white all over. He had friendly brown eyes and a very wiggly tail. Raye lived in England. Raye was a real dog, and this is an honestly true story about him. Raye loved two things most in the whole world. First, he loved Mary Anning. She was 12 years old and lived with her family in a small cottage near the beach in Lyme, Regis. Secondly, Raye loved going with Mary to dig for fossils. So, what are fossils anyway? They are the remains of animals and plants that died a long time ago. When a leaf or bone gets pressed between layers of sea mud, it leaves an imprint. After many years, the mud hardens to rock. Raye and Mary knew that they would find the very best fossils high up on the cliffs around the beach. They climbed up there every day. Raye sniffed the rocks. Sniff. He bowed the dirt. Scratch. Mary used a small hammer and chisel. Tap. With these tools, Mary carefully cut fossils out of the cliff, just as her father had shown her. Raye watched as she placed the fossils in her basket. Most of them looked like seashells. Mary and Raye sold them as souvenirs to the tourists that came by stagecoach to swim at beach near their home. One day, Raye and Mary discovered some very large bones sticking out of the rocks. They were huge. Raye growled and tried to dig the bones out. Mary used her hands to brush away the loose dirt. "Raye, we've discovered a monster," she declared. The bones were much too big for Raye and Mary to remove by themselves. "I'll go for help," Mary said. "You stay here, Raye." Raye barked loudly and sat down in front of the bones. He was a very good guard dog. Stop and think. Question. What questions about fossils do these pages answer? What new questions about fossils do you have? Mary ran all the way back to town and asked some grown-ups to help her. Raye and I have found something really special in the cliff, she told them. Just wait and see. When the men saw the giant rib bones in the side of the cliff, they were amazed. What a beast! They cried. Look at those sharp teeth. Is it a crocodile? One man asked. Or a stubby whale? We don't know what is it, Mary admitted, but we know it's something special. Don't we, Raye? Raye yapped and wagged his tail. A rich man who lived nearby heard about the sea monster. He hurried to see it for himself. I'll buy it, he cried. I will give it to the British Museum in London. Do you know what is it? Mary asked. It's called an ichthyosaur, the man told her. That means fish lizard, he explained. It's like a dinosaur with fins. The amazing news spread about the gigantic fish lizard and the dog and the little girl who found it. Soon many strangers came to Lyme, Regis, where Mary and Raye lived. They all wanted to hunt for fossils too. The men wore tall top hats. The women wore frilly bonnets. They carried pretty umbrellas called parasols. Mary shook her head and smiled. She rubbed Raye's soft ears. They watched the strangers together. They don't have the right tools, Mary whispered. They are wearing the wrong kinds of shoes. Aren't they silly, Raye? Raye yapped and chased his tail. Stop and think. Author's craft. How does the author help you understand how the strangers will have trouble finding fossils? Curious scientists visited Lyme Regis too. One man came from the university in Oxford. His name was William Buckland. He went to the old carpenter's shop where Mary and Raye sold their fossils. Can you show me where you find your ichthyosaur, young lady? He asked politely. Do you think you could find the exact spot again? Raye can find it, Mary boasted. Together, Mary and Mr. Buckland followed the little dog across the beach and up to the cliffs. Raye sniffed the rocks. Sniff, sniff. He pawed the dirt. Scratch, scratch. Suddenly he yapped. Then he sat down. Mary pointed. It was the exact place where she had discovered the strange fish lizard. What an intelligent dog, Mr. Buckland declared. Raye wagged his tail. Raye and Mary continued to dig for fossils. They were very careful. Mary watched for falling rocks like her dad told her. Raye looked out for storms and high tides. Then, one day, they discovered another giant creature. Look, Raye, Mary cried. It's a sea dragon. Raye sniffed the skeleton and snapped at it with his teeth. The creature had a long, long neck. Its backbone was like a humped turtle shell. Instead of feet and legs, it had 4 large paddles. But it wasn't a sea dragon. Mr. Buckland called it a plesiosaur. A plesiosaur. One day, Raye and Mary found a fossil that no one in England had ever found before. This one had huge bony wings like a bat and a long sharp jaw. Raye growled. It looked like a gigantic flying lizard, Mary declared. The scientists thought so. That's why they named it a pterodactyl. That means lizard with wings. Over the years, Raye, Mary, and Mr. Buckland became good friends. They showed him where to find the best fossils in Lyme Regis. Stop and think. Fact and opinion. What fact do you learn about Mary's find? What is her opinion about it? Mr. Buckland brought books about dinosaurs for Mary. He brought beef bones for Trey. Mary, with Trey on her lap, studied her books every day. When Trey's whiskers turned gray and Mary was all grown up, they still collected fossils and sold them in the old carpenter's shop. There were boxes and baskets filled with fossils on the floor and on the shelves. Some of the fossil creatures were so big they couldn't fit through the door. Sometimes children and tourists stopped in to buy fossils of ancient sand dollars or tiny fish and curly shells. Many scientists came to the shop to buy fossils too. They brought carts and wagons to haul away the really large ones. Trey and Mary Anning became very famous. Today, if you go to the Natural History Museum in London, you can see the large fossils they discovered together. You can also see a famous painting of Mary holding her fossil basket and Trey the dog that dug for dinosaurs. Now it's your turn. Dino discovery. Make a model. Work with a partner. Imagine that you and your partner have discovered a new dinosaur. What will you name it? What does it look like? Make a model of your new dinosaur. Use clay or art scraps. Then share your model with the class. Turn and talk. Fact or opinion. With a partner, look back at page 392 of the selection. Which sentences on the page include facts? Which include opinions? Discuss how you know. And now we've come to the end of our story today. I hope you liked it. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and share the videos with your friends. Thank you, dear. Bye.